The biggest question, and it was going around on social media throughout spring football, Will, and we can just kind of start here with this because I'm not buying into the stock that Florida State is depleted of all the talent. I do believe, and
They're
I will
not.
say this, they're not. I think that Mike Norvell is building something in Tallahassee that is going to be, we're going to look back at and say similar to the early Kirby Smart years, the early Nick Saban years, the Urban Meyer years at Ohio State, to where you're starting to build something where the average casual fan is not necessarily in tune with who that backup guy is, but he burst onto the scene because they've got some really good talent in the two deep. Now, look, I could be wrong. I think they're trending towards that in terms of depth, but it all comes down the shoulders of DJ Uiagalelei. Can that young man
No,
throw a pass accurately?
there's no doubt. I mean, you look at who they brought in from the portal. They made some huge additions. Mike Norvell went in there and just ransacked Alabama in the middle of the night when Alabama was confused for what, a week or two. He
Dazed.
goes,
Yeah.
John Murphy, Roydell Williams, Earl Little, TJ Ferguson, and Malik Benson. All those guys come from Alabama. They play on both sides of the ball. Marvin Jones joins from Georgia, which crazy storyline with that
Hey,
one.
the last time they brought an edge rusher from Georgia, he was a first-round pick in Jermaine Johnson. So it worked out
Yeah,
last time for him. So we'll see what happens.
they go get a guy that you know a lot more about than me, Jalen Brown from LSU. What was he, a 4-star
Yeah.
coming out of high school? So
Four-star
talent there.
Florida native, really good player.
Mm-hmm. And they go get the defensive tackle from Oregon State, Sione Lolohea. Maybe I got that right. I don't know. True
Well
Seminole
done.
can let me know. But FSU, man, they just reloaded. I mean, Norvell, he obviously came into the offseason with chip on his shoulder. And I've had a lot of bad things to say about him. I did not like how his reaction as the leader of his program to missing out on the playoff. He was rightfully upset, but I think he kind of hung on it a little long. And then it showed in the bowl game, which concerned me. But the way he went out and aggressively attacked the transfer portal, I love it. And their schedule,
Yeah.
it's not hard. It's not hard. Going to Dublin
No, it's not.
might be the hardest thing they have to do all year. I'm putting their ceiling right up there at 12-0 and a floor of 9-3. Like if DJU can't throw the ball, they'll still be talented enough to kind of just manhandle this schedule. They get Clemson at home, which is big for them. And that's really kind of the only question marks I have on the schedule. Things would have to, I think, really go wrong. They catch somebody at a bad time or somebody just goes off. Well, they do go to Notre Dame, who people are very high on. I don't really understand why. That'll be a little difficult for them. But, you know, I see no scenario where they're any worse than 9-3. But, you know, I think that they might just steamroll through this schedule that they've got.
Well, the big question is DJU. I mean, look, how much stock am I really putting into a spring game where he didn't look comfortable? How much stock am I really putting into some throws, you know, that are circulating in videos around practice where he's not hitting his mark? I think it could be a concern because I think Jordan Travis was that good of a quarterback where I think there could be a little drop off. But are we going to see Oregon State DJU? Or are we going to see Clemson DJU? If you can get closer to what happened out there in Corvallis last year, then you're really starting to kind of get into everything else is falling into place. So I do agree with a couple comments here, and we'll get to them. Jonesy says QB is a big question mark. That's fair. But let's get to a couple more here because David says, wonder who he's a fan of. They're losing week 0. Write that it down. I like it. True Seminole says, I do agree that consistency in the portal and year after year better recruiting classes, definitely building something special. Zach Jones says, over, I see a ceiling of 12-0, floor of 8-4, 9-3. I would bet on 10 or 11 wins. Cougar Intruder, appreciate you tuning in. Florida State fan, it looks like over there. Norvell says it's the most talented team he's ever had in terms of depth, 9-3 to 12-0, all on the table. And then True says 10-2. So you've got this. What was your ceiling? Just say it real quick.
12-0. 12-0.
I'm going 11-1 only because I think going undefeated is really hard. I do agree with you, though. If things go right for them, they could have a really, really another fun season there in Tallahassee. Because you look at the schedule, yeah, you got to go to Dublin, but Will, you don't play until Monday night of the next week. That is a
Yeah,
massive thing
that's big.
to get that extra day. That's huge. Then you get the bye week right after it. You host Memphis, you host Cal. Like if you're a team, and we'll talk about this when we get to Georgia Tech. Florida State got they got buttered up, we'll say, when they got
Yeah.
this schedule, because if you got to go to Dublin to play your game literally 11 or 9 days later and then get a bye week and then not leave the state of Florida until the late September, that's how you want it if you play the first game in Ireland. So yes, Clemson's going to be a massive matchup. Miami, look, we're going to talk about them. They got a lot of talent, but I don't I don't know. I mean, well, they got to cash in on it. And then Notre Dame at number 5 preseason early ranking. That's kind of wild to me. But
Wild.
it's, and then Florida, they may have an interim coach by then. So all those things considered, I'm going 11-1 and 9-3. I think this is a pretty slim margin. I think this team's going to have success. They're going to challenge for a spot in Charlotte. And man, the Noles, I'm excited because I like Mike Norvell, and this is going to be a big telling year in his tenure and legacy at Florida State. Was it just a group of players that you were able to hit on one time, or is this more of a culture you're building in a place that's going to be a destination through the portal and high school ranks?